Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Excuse me. That one was stuck in there. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. How is everyone this morning? Did everybody have a good weekend? I hope so. I was given tickets to a hockey game yesterday. Super duper excited. My team failed me spectacularly, but I'm still excited I got to go. So, whoops. Okay, well that one went flying. There it is. Sorry. Oh, I found another one while I was down there. Boy, sometimes these things go flying and I don't realize they go flying. So, anyways. But yeah. It was still fun to get out and do something, and it was nice to be back in the arena again. To be honest with you, it was actually nice because the last time I went... Good morning, Caroline. The last time I went, I was suffering still from some head trauma I had received from an accident a while ago. And damn. So, yeah, even though the Ducks spectacularly failed me last night, it was still fun to go and to see people, and I got to visit my old usher from where my seats used to be, so that was always fun. So anyways, let me pull one more. Today is Hodgepodge Monday. I have a few things I want to talk about, but as per usual, I like to pull some mindful cards in the morning just to kind of give us some inspo in the morning, right? So that one's saying it wants to come out too. So let's see. We got 3 mindful messages cards. I also pulled inspiration deck my cousin gave me. These are so cute. They're basically like quotes and stuff. Not easy to shuffle. So let's see what we got here. I usually do these, for anyone who's new, I usually do these in the morning. Gotta wait for people to come on. Good morning, older sibling. And these are a lot easier to shuffle than I thought they would be. So again, this is the this one is the inspiration quotes. Ooh, inspiration quotes. We get some fancy schmancy people in now. So let's see. Let's pull. You know, I had a quote one around here somewhere before, but I don't know what happened to it. All right, let's get going here. These are not short cards. Okay, there we go. I'll start with the mindful message ones. Here's the Hawaiian Blessing. I do love this card. It says, "Country roads take me home." But it's, so just so you know, the word hale in Hawaiian means home. So, Hawaiian Blessing. May there always be warmth in your hale, fish in your net, and aloha in your heart. So basically, may there always be warmth in your home, food on your table, and love in your heart. Okay? So, let's see. Reborn to the body. Oh, return. Grief. See, you can tell by the script, it's not always easy to read. Return to the body. When I am caught up in a stressful moment, I can move my awareness to my body. Is my jaw clenched? My body tense? How is my posture? This helps me to see where I can relax and let go of tension. Now I can return to any situation more calm and present. So if you're feeling kind of tense, just kind of, the way to center yourself, start focusing on, is your body tense? Is my posture kind of hunched over? Are these things just not right? Are they not right? So, and then just kind of put your mindfulness there and allow yourself to come back into being you. Projecting. We've talked about that a lot lately. Rather than reacting and projecting my emotions onto others, I remember no one is to blame. No one is responsible for the emotions that I feel. When someone says or does something that brings up strong emotions within me, I have the choice in how to respond. So there you go. Rather than reacting and projecting my emotions onto others, I remember no one is to blame. No one is responsible for the emotions that I feel. When someone says or does something that brings up strong emotions within me, I have the choice in how I respond. Now, that's not 100% true. There may be reasons why you are projecting, why you're acting out emotionally, but a lot of times it's not the person in front of you. Maybe they say something that triggers you. They don't know they're triggering you. I mean, you can always tell if someone's doing it on purpose just to get a rise out of you. But more times than not, that's not the case. And we tend to project, right? I mean, maybe you had a bad day at work or a terrible drive home. So you walk in the front door and you take it out on the first person or animal you see, right? You just start yelling like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. deep breaths. This is how, like the other one, return to your body before you project onto someone, because that can just start a whole mess of things. That can start a whole icky mess of things. And you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to go on the shame and guilt apology tour later. So just deep breaths, the best you can. A lot of people say count to 10. Count to 10 as many times as you need to. Take as many deep breaths as you need to. And just kind of try to calm your mind. If you feel like if you look at this person, you get agitated just because your brain is saying, just vent at somebody, don't do it. Okay, don't do it. It's not worth it. Good morning, baby sibling. And get focused. To attract what I want, first I get clear on what it is I desire. I envision it for a minute or more every day, feeling how it would feel to have this in my life. What would I do? How would I react? And who'd I tell? I picture it all. Through my continual alignment with my desires, I begin to flow into my physical reality in divine timing. That is manifestation, kids. Let's not just get focused. It is called manifestation. All right? Or prayers or intentions. Okay? So those are the other things. Even if you do project and you don't want to project anymore, focus on that. All right? So here's some quotes. Ooh, Woody Guthrie. That's a good one. One day we'll all find out that all of our songs were just little notes in a great big song. I like that one. That's a good one. He was a singer-songwriter. So one day we'll find all. Oh my God, my brain. One day we'll all find out that all of our songs were just little notes in a great big song. It's kind of another word for peace, right? That we're all here coexisting on this blue marble. And some of us don't play nice. Some of us do. But, anyways, you have to have confidence in your ability and then be tough enough to follow through. Rosalind Carter. Oh, that's a good one. Former First Lady. So you have to have confidence in your ability and then be tough enough to follow through. I don't want to keep that one out. I might need that for later. Let's see. Marion Wright Edelman. We must not, in trying to think about how we can make a big difference, ignore the small daily differences we can make, which, over time, add up to big differences that we often cannot foresee. That's the ripple effect, right? That's when, everybody wants to save the world all at once. Sometimes you start with one person and it really ripples out. Sometimes you start with stuff like this, or you read a book and then you tell somebody about it, and then poof, it ripples out. And then they tell someone, and they tell someone, and they tell someone, right? Let's see. Oh, John Lennon. I'm not going to tell you who that is. If you don't know who that is, you better Google it. So, evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. That feels like it's really relevant right now. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in the fearlessness and open-hearted vision of people who embrace life. Embrace life, truly. When you embrace life, you may find you are enjoying it. You may find that, even when the whole world feels like it is just piling up on you, that you're going to make it through. I mean, I've literally had some big, not fun surprises this morning that I'm going to have to take care of the minute I get off of this. But, so much change happened for me over the weekend that I realized there's not this weird anchor fear, holding me back. There's not some weird, just this feeling of dread, right? That just sits in the pit of your stomach, that even when you're happy, it's just kind of sitting there waiting for you to come home. And when I mean come home, I mean like go inward and to be quiet in your mind when everything's quiet around you and you're just kind of like, oh yeah, there it is. One of those things. I don't feel that. So I will explain that in the Hodgepodge Monday, because when I say change, I just am had major personal growth this weekend. So this last one is Pauline R. Kezer. Kezer? I think that's it. When you do nothing, you feel overwhelmed and powerless. But when you get involved, you feel the sense of hope and accomplishment that comes from knowing you are working to make things better. Extremely relevant right now. Extremely relevant right now. All right, I'm going to read that one more time. When you do nothing, you feel overwhelmed and powerless. But when you get involved, you feel the sense of hope and accomplishment that comes from knowing you are working to make things better. Even if you're putting out gratitude or intentions or mindfulness, right now the world could use a lot of it. Sorry, I actually had to look before I threw that because I don't want to hit the cat. She managed to sneak back up into my room. Had no idea where she was. One minute she's on my lap, the next minute she's gone, and walk into my room and there she is, laying in the middle of my bed. So, just doing her thing. It's Hodgepodge Monday. All right, Hodgepodge Monday. Older sibling posted a great quote on happiness the other day, and I'm actually going to read it, and then I want to break it down. I want to break it down into different things. But when I was talking about my personal growth this weekend, it kind of this particular thing that sibling posted just kind of really hit me between the eyeballs. And I think it hit me between the eyeballs because, excuse me, I said something yesterday when I was at the game. It was kind of a girls' night out. I brought older sibling and I were invited. We brought my friend Cheryl with us. Just kind of a girls' night out, right? And her and I were talking, and she's like, well, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm great. But I was like, and then we were kind of talking because she watches my perspective from time to time. And I told her, I said, I kind of hit this milestone in my life where I really feel like I'm in this position now where, I've left the past behind. I've left the trauma behind. I've left all these other things behind. Even older sibling asked me this morning how I was feeling. And to be honest, I'm still not totally sure how I'm feeling about all this because everything I talked about last Thursday in that perspective, it's still kind of fresh for me because it was something that really only came up within the week before or even a few days before I actually did that perspective on Thursday. And so, excuse me, a lot of these thoughts are still kind of just in my head. And I told her last night, I said, I'm nervous about all this. And she's like, why? And I said, well, for X amount of years, or I can't remember how I put it. I said, I said, I'm nervous about moving forward because now it's all on me. Every decision, every choice, it's not made from a place of fear. It's not made from a place of dread. It's not, made from a place of worrying about what other people think. And I said, for X amount of years, I've been able to blame somebody for it, because I had the trauma. I had all that stuff that just swirled. But with all the shadow work I've done in recent months, especially the last two, I've healed all of that. And so I'm kind of in this new place where it's scary. I feel like it's weird to move forward with no emotional anchor, no anchor of dread, just kind of sitting in the pit of my stomach. I feel like I'm a first-time captain on a boat thinking, oh, can I do this? And the reason I say a first-time captain is because a captain makes captain because they know what they're doing. But I can only imagine the first time they take the helm of the ship as the person in charge, it's kind of like, oh. Because in the past, I let a lot of my emotions take charge. I didn't pursue things because I was afraid I'd fail. I didn't pursue things because I was afraid of rejection. I didn't pursue things because I just didn't have the strength or the energy. Depression takes a lot out of you. Okay, so in a way, this is still following in line with the mental health talks. There are some days where you just have enough energy to survive the day. Even if you have to go to work, even if you push through, even if you make it, it takes so much from you that when you get home, it really just feels like all you just want to do is just sit there and just veg. And some people will call that lazy if they don't understand. Some people will say, oh, you got to stop sitting around doing nothing, being a couch potato. That's sometimes when people take the time to recharge. And there are a lot of people who need that recharge, but don't have that opportunity because they get home and they have other things they have to take care of. So it's a very fine line, and it's not always an easy one to navigate. But now I feel like I am now the captain of my own ship, and it's a little spooky. It's a little scary. And part of me says, baby steps. But the other part of me said, I've been baby stepping my entire life. I don't want to baby step anymore. I want to think big. I want to do big. I want to, succeed big. And it doesn't necessarily mean on the levels that we think of. It just means succeeding would be big for me. Just anything good that comes into my life now is going to be a huge deal for me. Because it's like, these are all new emotions. And maybe that's the scary part, is that these are all new emotions, because there's not, again, I will repeat, and I will probably repeat this over and over again, there is not that feeling of dread that is just sitting in there like a monster waiting in a child's closet for them to turn off the light and go to bed, or underneath their bed, right? We know it's not there, but we feel like it's there. We feel, well, unless it's Monsters Inc., but hey, I had to throw that in for funniness. But no, seriously, when you're a child and you're afraid of the monster under your bed or in your closet, there's a part of us that knows it's not in there. But there's a part of us that's too afraid to look, right? Or maybe we dare ourselves. And maybe that's how some people become more daring. It's like, yeah, I looked for the monster under my bed and it wasn't there. So I didn't bother to call my parents. Baby sibling. Monsters Inc. is my fave. She's a Pixar child. But older sibling says, I'm so glad to hear that. Congratulations. I told her this last night as well, but she was in a lot of pain, so I don't know if she actually heard me. But, yeah, it's just, my mind has been scattered all morning, this is stuff I actually wanted to tell baby sibling last night. Totally forgot. She asked me this morning how I was doing. Totally forgot. And I think there's a part of me that's just, it's pushing back because it is scared. Well, because, there's something inside of me is still scared, but there's not that dread. There's not that underlying fear, that it's almost like having your stomach having a lining, right? It's just fear. It's not there anymore. It feels like everything can just pass through now. I know it's probably not the best analogy for passing through. I can shut out all the bad stuff. But no, like I said, it is a little scary. It is like having a monster in your bed, knowing it's not there, and sometimes if you really think about it, it's like, what makes us think that? Is it someone in school? Is it something we watched? Is it something we read that makes us think, oh my God, there's something under my bed. There's something in my closet. Right? And that's probably why Disney made Monsters Inc. to show them, hey, look, you know what? It's okay. They're just trying to power their own city. And so it's a nice counterbalance. But going back to what I'm talking about, that's what life does to us. And it's kind of like, even if you didn't have trauma in your life, this monster in your bed is created by something that you've seen or heard. More than likely something you've seen or heard, or someone teasing you, maybe even a sibling teasing you and saying, oh yeah, well, and it sits in our subconscious until we're able to conquer it, until we're able to move forward and say, no, you know what, I'm done listening to all these people around me who are trying to hold me down or scare me. I will tell you this, if you're a child and you manage to watch this someday and you have a sibling sitting there saying, oh yeah, well, watch out for the monster on your bed, just tell them this. I've trained it, or I caught it, I trained it, and when I find it, when it comes back out again, I'm sending it to your room. Because even if they don't believe in the monster under the bed, they're going to know you're not afraid anymore. And keep saying it to yourself. I've caught it and I've trained it, and it's my friend now. Because you're taking the fear out of it. You're removing the fear and the stigma from a situation. And that's what I need to do. I need to remove the fear and the stigma from this. So what I want to read is called Happiness is a Choice. All right. And like I said, I'm going to read it and then I'm going to break it down. Happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing makes you happy until you choose to be happy. No one person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. Okay? So again, happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing makes you happy until you choose to be happy. No one person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. Now, it's funny how when we see things, we tend to see it one way. And then as our healing progresses, we start to see the true meaning of something. We start to really understand where the person's coming from that wrote this. I have no idea who to attribute this to because I could not find a name or anything on it. It was just, like I said, something that popped up on my Facebook, and I thought, you know what? I have nothing for Hodgepodge Monday. I think this would be a great thing to talk about and to kind of tie into what I've been going through. And everything I've just said before that, actually, I meant to say it afterwards, but it ended up coming before it, I think, is to show me that I have to make that choice. I have to take that leap of faith. It's, there's a great Martin Luther King quote about this taking steps and it's dark. I know my brain is so scattered right now because it's just so overwhelmed by so much already that's been happening this morning of just having to go and take care of adult responsibility things. And, it's just unforeseen financial stuff that I did not see coming. And having to go take care of that this morning and all that after this. But it's all really kind of cluttering my mind because it feels like a test. Here I am trying to take that leap of faith, and yet I keep getting bombarded by things. And I don't know always how to handle it because I've not always handled things well. Sometimes I've just shut down. And unfortunately, that's what happened in the last few months. I shut down because I got so overwhelmed. My anxiety, which I don't normally have, just flared. And I will tell you, there are people who have anxiety that handle it like champs. I don't get it that often. So when it happens, I don't know how to handle it at all. And then when you couple it with depression, it's just kind of like, wah, your head, mind blown, but not in a good way. Mind blown more like Scanners. Okay. If you've ever seen that movie. If you haven't and you choose to, be careful. It can be gross, but let's just say it is literal mind blowing. But oh God, some of the stuff I watched growing up, Jesus, and so it's surprising I'm normal. Oh well, as normal as I can be. But thank you, baby sibling. Okay, so here, and this is perfect. Okay, this is a child talking to his parent. Baby sibling says, Victor and I were talking about his anxiety this morning, and I was proud of him for talking to me about how he was feeling. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I'm talking about when I said, I have no one to blame. For like X amount of years, I had someone to blame or something to blame for all of the shortcomings. But now I've healed all that. Now I've moved forward into a place where I have to choose whether or not I want that happiness. And I do. But here you have a mom, she's a widow. Her kids are, they lost their father so young. And trauma can really push you in a lot of directions. It can give you a major mind, what. All right. And kids too. And I think sometimes we forget that even though kids are resilient, they're not resilient 100% of the time. But here you have a mom who embraces the fact that, she has her own, struggles, but she lets her kids know that it's okay to talk to mom about, having the blues, having depression, having anxiety. It's okay. I will tell you this. Anxiety, mental health, period. It doesn't discriminate when it comes to age. It does not discriminate when it comes to age. And this is proof. And the only reason I'm sharing that, it is in public comments, so. But I'm glad she shared that with me because I think that's part of the problem I'm having is I'm still angry about the subject that I talked about Thursday. I'm still upset. I'm still mad at the fact that I wish I had somebody when I was younger or when, that could see these things, that could understand these things. When I went to my mom in my early 20s about my depression, I wished she would have reacted the same way. Even if she didn't want to talk about it in front of other people, just say, because it just came up in conversation. I hadn't really planned on telling her. But the fact that I did just kind of blew me away when she responded. But like I said, I can't blame her anymore because I've healed that part. Or I should say I'm still healing that part. I love my mother. I do. In fact, last week I was talking about how I kept having bad dreams about her, like not feeling enough, always disappointing her and that's and that. I told older sibling the other night I had a dream, and it was a good dream with my mom. I was back to the good dreams with my mom. So I know my mom and I are doing okay. In fact, it was funny because after I finished the perspective on Thursday, I felt this huge gush of cold air just come flying towards me. Windows are not open. Hey, it may not be that cold in Southern California to some people, but it's freaking cold here for us. Okay, and it's a wet cold. Wet colds are different. They like freezing. But I felt it. I felt like we were healing together, even though she's physically not here. And that is difficult. But this is why I did that perspective. This is why I wanted people to know. I mean, I don't think Victor heard it, but I love the fact that there is going to be people out there who will be able to talk and sit with their kids and say, hey, you know what? Okay, let's sit down and talk about this. What can I do for you? And I know baby sibling, she's not going to let them use it as a crutch. That's why she wants them to talk to her about it, so she can help them through it, so it doesn't become a crutch. It doesn't become something that they can blame everything on. That was the point I made. I was trying to make when I said, I had X amount of years to blame stuff on everything else. But I don't have that now. Because that was my shield. That was my safety net. When in reality, it was that monster under the bed. It didn't really exist. I probably healed from a lot of those things a long time ago. But I've been so afraid to move forward. I've been so afraid of, being a disappointment. Not, being a failure. That I couldn't move forward until I realized that approval and validation, it comes from me. If somebody else approves or validates something I say or do, that's the bonus. That's the extra gift. But the biggest gift is learning how to validate and approve of yourself. That's self-love, straight up. That's self-care, self-respect, self-worth, all the good self stuff. And that's where happiness comes in. When it says happiness is a choice, not a result. It is a choice. You could do so many things. You could have so many things. But are you happy? You have to choose to be happy. Nothing makes you happy until you choose to be happy. So, you have these people, right? You see this, like, you hear conversations sometimes, or even in the movies or on TV shows, right? Well, God, I can't believe why they're so upset. They have everything. But maybe they don't feel like they have everything. Maybe there's this pain inside of them, that dread, right? An anchor of dread. We'll call it the anchor of dread, okay? So now we got a bunch of things. So we have the Sea of Misery, the island of... Oh, God, I forgot what the island is. Well, I'll come back to that one. See, I don't even live on that island anymore, so I forgot what it's called. Yeah, but basically we had the Sea of Misery and the Ocean of Bliss, right? But now we have the Anchor of Dread. And the Anchor of Dread sits in the Sea of Misery. And sometimes your boat may be all the way over in the Ocean of Bliss, but you have that wall of waves that we're always talking about, that big barrier between the Sea of Misery and the Ocean of Bliss. And your anchor chain may be going all the way in over here to the Sea of Misery where that Anchor of Dread sits. And you could have everything. But until you get rid of that dread, until you get rid of maybe trauma that you haven't healed, or maybe until you realize your self-worth, the results may not always be, what does it say? Results are not typical. That's for a lot of people. You may have somebody out there who has the exact same thing as this one person over here, and they're super happy. And then you have this person over here that has all of the same things, and they're just kind of like, I wish I was more like that person. But see, that person over here has chosen to be happy. It wasn't a result only of all the things that they've done for themselves. It's a choice. I mean, sometimes people can become so successful, but then, they're such perfectionists sometimes that they're still looking for that high of something else, right? They do things to get that high, not getting high, but getting that mental high, that soul high, saying, yeah, I did this, yeah, I did that, but now what? Because they're not choosing to be happy. They're putting their happiness in accomplishments, in something else. But what they're missing is they should be happy because this is something they have accomplished. It wasn't about the result. It was about the hard work. It was about the pain that they put into it. Or maybe even the joy that they put into it. But they're seeking approval now for what their end result was, instead of just realizing that they have to just validate themselves. That they have to just, we have to validate ourselves. We have to be approving of ourselves. Don't worry about what other people think about you. I spent too much of my life trying to seek validation and approval from somebody who gave it to me in a different way. She tried. She did the best she could. And I'm not denying that. She really did do the best she could. And she thought she was doing the right things by me, by she being my mom. Thought she was doing the right things by me. But I was coming from a place of trauma back then. And I didn't realize that. Instead, I would just get defensive and think, no. I'm going to do things my way. I rebelled. I rebelled in my own way. And sometimes I just want to look at myself in the mirror and go, hey, how'd that work out for you? But I don't play the what if game anymore. I stopped playing that last week. Because I know, even when I talk to older sibling and I've talked to baby sibling about this, I know I'm exactly where I'm meant to be at this point in my life. I'm in the middle of a lot of people. My age is in the middle of a lot of people. And it doesn't matter whether you're older than me or younger than me. Healing is achievable. Healing is possible. I don't care if you're 99 years old, okay? If you're hurting, healing is possible. So heal this stuff. Why do we hang on to pain? Because it's familiar? Do we hang on to pain because we feel like if we let it go, that we're letting somebody go? I had a lot of pain staked in grief. Grief from losing my mom. Grief from losing Sissy. Grief from losing one of my coworkers, who was also a friend. There was a lot of grief sitting in there. And I was so afraid, I think, for a long time in my head, because I couldn't get out of my head, thinking, if I don't hold this pain, I'm letting them go. No, I'm not letting them go. What I'm doing is I'm moving forward, just like they would want me to. And we can say that all day. They would want you to move forward. People move forward at their own time. Sometimes people don't move forward. But you can't push people out of their comfort zone. People have to come out of their comfort zone on their own. If you push someone out of their comfort zone, chances are you're going to send them farther back. But if you guide them out, if you coax them out gently and tell them, I'm going to stand at your doorway. When you're ready, here's my hand and we'll take this together. And I had that support. I'm grateful I had that support. I've had that support through people that watch The Perspective, like Eileen. I've had that support in my siblings, like Marie and Laura. I've had that support in my friend Cheryl. Just all these people who really kind of understand where I've come from. I can't believe the feedback I got from last Thursday. I was like, wait, what? I'm not alone? This is happening to other people? And even though we know in our head that is the case, that this does happen to other people, we sometimes feel alone in that. But that's where we need to move forward. So like I said, why do we hang on to pain? Why do we hang on to that grief? We can't change what happened in the past. All we can do is make peace with it and move forward. If it's not something you like, if it's not something you want to ever carry with you, move on. But if you've lost somebody you love, you've lost somebody you care about, you've lost a job, you've lost something. If you've lost a job and you feel like you've left the people behind, move on. I had to move on from that. I thought, well, I'll move forward with the good memories. But the good memories sometimes make me sad too. So I realized there's a handful of people from where I used to work that I still talk to, that I still keep in touch with. I love them. And I'm moving forward with them. I'm not moving forward with the memories anymore. Because when I look back, it wasn't always as, bright and cheerful as I made it seem in my head. It was a struggle. And being an admin wasn't easy because, you're kind of, you're positioned at the bottom of the pole, basically. There are people who realize your worth and your skill and how important you are. And those are the people that I've carried forward with me. The people that appreciated what I did, that realized after I left how much I actually did. They always knew how much I did. But after I left, hi, Meow. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Sorry. Can you hear her? That's Lily. But yeah, anyways, they saw it. But that's what I'm talking about. That was a period of grief that I had to go through. And that's the difference between moving on and moving forward. The pain that I felt from Mom and Sissy and my friend. I don't say her name because it's kind of private and it's really not my story. But with Mom and Sissy, I had to learn to move forward. And I'm learning to move forward. Because I miss them both. I miss them both every day. And that pain, it will always be kind of fresh. But at the same time, by moving forward, I realize what I'm doing is I'm giving us all a chance and the room to breathe. Because I'm not hanging on to that dread or that pain anymore. I'm not hanging on to the idea that if I don't have pain in my heart, that I don't care. Of course I care. Of course you care. You don't have to hang on to pain in your heart when you're grieving over somebody to show you love them. It goes to show, or it stands to reason, I should say, that if you love them in life, you still love them now, even if they're not here. Okay? If you had a complicated relationship with somebody, but you love them and your good times outnumbered your bad times, then you don't need to hang on to the pain. Even if you didn't have that resolution, don't hang on to the pain. Just focus on the love that you had for this person. Whether it was a friend or a family member or a spouse. And you just have to move on. Or not move on, sorry. You have to move forward. Move on from the pain, but move forward with the love that you still and always will carry for them in your heart. You don't need to carry that pain along with it. You have to choose your happiness. You are still here. You are still breathing. You are still alive. Okay? You are carrying on their legacy. You are carrying on how you want the world to know them. And it might seem kind of like a double-edged sword because of what I talked about with my mom and breaking the cycle of my grandmother, my mother, and me. But that doesn't mean I love them any less. I love my mom. I miss my mom every day. Because, like I said, the last 5 to 10 years that she was alive, we had the best relationship. I can't even remember having an argument with her in that time. I'm sure we had something, like maybe we had to agree to disagree on something. But it wasn't like it had been when I was younger. We've somehow found some kind of common ground. Or maybe she just realized, hey, you know what? Because my dad's like, look, it's hard for me to watch her grow up, but she's an adult. She's going to have to do her own thing. And I think that helped. I think moving a county away helped. Moving an hour and a half away. But the point is we both chose happiness in our relationship. And even though I shared a lot of the stuff that I shared, I had to work that out in my mind. There's certain parts of my life I will open up because I want people who still have the opportunities to fix these relationships, to choose the happiness. Don't think that, oh, well, I'm an adult and I moved out now, so everything should be happy. No, you have to choose the happiness. You have to choose and pick your battles. I mean, don't pick your battles over something stupid, okay? I mean, don't just sit there and go, oh, yeah, well, you like this and I don't, so you're dumb. No, that's not how it works. Pick your battles. Everybody has opinions. Everyone's going to have opinions. What is it? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Right? Right. I'm sure we could have probably picked a better one. Like, everybody has a nose or a mouth or eyes. But you know what I'm talking about. The point is, everybody has an opinion. And instead of fighting with each other, trying to convince each other that you're right, just have a discussion. Imagine how much more you're going to learn if you just sit down and talk. Right? Instead of just trying to convince somebody you're right. Or somebody trying to convince you that they're right. That's how life works. And it would work a lot better that way if people actually did it. So anyways, let me finish this up. No one person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. You can find the most number one person, and they may be your be-all, end-all. If you do not choose happiness, you are always going to wonder, do they love me? Do they love me enough? Am I loving them enough? Am I doing enough for them? If these questions are running through your mind, you need to choose happiness. Okay? Especially if you know this person is your be-all, end-all. I mean, my mom had insecurities, and she was married to my dad forever. I mean, my parents got married when they were very young, and they were married until the day my mom died. And even after that, my dad wore his wedding ring for a while because he didn't know how to take it off yet. And when he was ready, he did. But the point is, I think, to be honest with you, and I'm gonna dive into that part of my life now. I think one of the reasons I've kept myself single for so long, there was this fear. I'm being honest. There was a fear of, because nobody likes to break up with somebody. Nobody likes things to end. But now I'm in a position where if something did start and did end, it's just like, you know what? I don't want to worry. When something starts, I just want to focus on that and every day. If it ends, it's going to be sad, yes. It's going to be hurtful, yes. It's going to be painful, yes. But you take the lesson from that and you move forward and you find something different. But if it doesn't end, if it keeps on going, if it keeps on, just shining that light on you until the day you both die, or until, one of you, then just enjoy the journey. I posted a meme the other day that says, something, it came out of my own head and I can't remember it, but something along the lines of, if you rush through the journey, you might miss the scenery. So don't rush through the journey. Take one day at a time. Choose the happiness in every day. If you have a fight or you have an argument, it's not the end of the world. Come back with, cooler heads. Talk it through. Don't ignore it. Don't say, I don't want to talk about it now. Talk it through. You have to communicate, because if you don't, it's going to keep coming up. Communication and trust is everything. And I can't say someone's not going to break your trust down the road, because every relationship is different. But like I said, one of the reasons I think I kept myself single for so long is because I knew I wasn't going to be functional in a relationship. Because I was so used to doing everything for everybody in every relationship I was in. And I wasn't getting a lot back. I don't put blame on anyone anymore. They just weren't meant to be. And when something's not meant to be and you try to force it, it just gets worse. It just gets worse. But I needed a break. I needed a breather. And I don't know how a breather turned into as long as it has. But it's been a long time. And, but now I know my head's in the right place. It's still scary because you're thinking, okay, I'm saying my head's in the right place. But what happens when that person does show up? Will I function? And that's why I just tell myself, just take it one breath at a time, one moment at a time. Don't look more than a few days ahead. and a few days ahead is just like, hey, you want to do something on Saturday? Okay. But don't live so far in the future that you forget to enjoy the present. Okay? If you start dating someone, don't think, oh, are they going to ask me to marry them in like 2 weeks? Oh, dude, just give it time. Okay? That doesn't mean it won't happen. Some people, they just know, right? They just know. But my point is, don't wait for something to happen. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the person. Enjoy getting to know this person. Okay? If it's a new friend, or maybe you're meeting new family. I mean, baby sibling and I discovered a whole different, whole different branch. We discovered a whole different part of our family tree in the last few years. And it's exploded. And it's amazing because it's all these new people. It can be a little overwhelming because it is a lot of people. We didn't know how many of them existed. There's a ton of them. I mean, our family tree is like the size of freaking Texas, all right, or Alaska or Canada. It's huge. And, but it's ginormous. And it's this whole family that's just out, in the Midwest and the East. I mean, come on. Do I look like I belong to people like that? My Filipino throws my Asian side and my Polynesian side throws everybody off. But, I mean, look at baby sibling and I, right? I mean, she's blonde with blue eyes. Do we look like we'd be related? I know. Somebody thought I was her nanny once. Way to judge. But I know, as a 12-year-old kid, what can I say? I was a lot younger then, though. But my point is, don't look past today. Unless you're making plans together, just, scheduling is one thing, but when it comes to getting to know someone or being in something, don't look too far into the future that you miss, again, the present. Don't rush through the journey because you may miss the scenery. Okay? Baby sibling said the asshole comment is her favorite. You know what? You must have willed it into my mind. So anyways, the last line. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. That being said, this is why I wanted to share a lot of my thoughts of what I was going through before. Because I spent so much time blaming trauma and hiding behind it that I have not chosen my own happiness. I had not chosen, she said she definitely willed it. I had not chosen to be happy. And I'm going to share something which is going to sound completely ridiculous to some people, and it's going to make complete sense to somebody else, to other people. When you go through something traumatic in your youth, that kind of, if it's not taken care of right away, or at least not addressed right away, it does put that anchor of dread in you. And so you never know how to truly be happy. This is why I commend baby sibling with the boys, because she's teaching them how to find the happiness even in the sadness. Saying like, you know what? It's okay to feel it. Dude, you can feel anything you want. You can feel anger. You can feel hate. You can feel resentment. You can feel sadness. You can feel grief. You can feel pain. You can feel anything that is disgusting and gross to feel. But don't live there. Give it a temporary shelter. And I mean a temporary shelter. And say, you know what? Here, go crazy. I mean, don't go crazy, literally. But it's like, like when your parents say, here's $20, go crazy. Just put that feeling in a little jar, shake it up. Okay? And then even if it's like, you wouldn't shake a soda, right? Because if you open it, or even a beer, or even champagne, right? It's going to go everywhere. That's why I'm saying, give it a little home, let it go crazy, let it settle. Because if you shake it up and you open it, it's going to spray everywhere. And that can be messy. Okay, we all know how sticky and messy that stuff can be. Period. Now, if you put it into terms of who you are and all of that grief and that pain and that sadness, that anger, that hatred, that resentment and all that, when you shake it up and then you just let it out, it's not going to be pretty. So deal with it, handle it, yell at the sky, yell at whatever you need to do. If you have to, set a timer. I saw that. I wish I could remember the guy's name, who it was, but I saw it on a post my friend sent to us where he says, go through this, set it on an alarm for like 5 minutes, yell, scream, vent, write down, tear papers. If you're in a safe place, throw things, don't throw breakable things. But I think what he's talking about is like, if you're outside, just, throw balls or something at the air or whatever. And then let it go. The minute that timer goes off, you're done. Because here's the thing. Once you get it out of you, you don't need to hang on to it. But a lot of us will get it out of us and we'll hang on to it. And a lot of times we do that because when there is trauma, and trauma can be anything across the board, not necessarily what I went through. It can be anything. It can be the grief of a parent. It can be the grief of parents breaking up. It can be the loss of a childhood friend whose family moves away all of a sudden. You're like, wait, what? That happened to me when I was a kid. My best friend Christian next door, just, his mom came one day, picked him up. He lived with his grandparents. One day she dropped him off. He was there for the majority of the time that we lived in this house. And then one day I went over to go play and he was gone. No goodbye, no nothing. And the grandma was devastated because the mom just said, hey, I'm here. I'm picking him up. And they had no legal rights to him. He didn't want to go. He even wanted to say, his grandmother told me he wanted to come say goodbye to you, but his mother didn't want to wait. And it's like, ooh, wow, that's a memory I haven't thought of in a while. But he was my best friend when I was 9, and all of a sudden he was gone. And I was sad about that. And eventually I let it go. And sometimes that's how life works. But if we hang on to it, it's gonna settle in, and it's not gonna be a temporary shelter anymore. You're literally giving it a home. Don't give the pain of any sort a home. Let it be temporary, and let it move on. Okay, and that's something I need to definitely teach myself, to choose the happiness. Happiness is your result if you choose it. Happiness in a relationship is yours if you choose it. Happiness will come to you, or will not come to you. It will come from you. When you choose to look at the world through happier eyes, everything can change. Like I said, I don't spew positivity because, I think it's the only way we should think. I have emotions too. Okay, I'm not a robot. I mean, you've seen my emotions on here. If you haven't seen my emotions on here, go back. I mean, you can probably throw a dart at one and hit one where I get emotional in it, or I just get passionate about something. But the point is, it's not always about positivity. When people preach positivity, they're aware. Well, I would say most people. When most people preach positivity, including myself, we're fully aware that there are other emotions that we go through. This is why I've been focusing on mental health so much lately, because that's kind of where my jam is. Because I get it. I understand it. I only understand it on my level through my own diagnosis, which, like I said, is more of an umbrella diagnosis for most people. And then it goes in a bazillion directions from there with other people. But the point is, we realize that there is always going to be something negative that could come up. But the positivity is how we deal with it. We're going to vent. We're going to have emotional days. We're going to get angry. We're going to yell at people. The point is to not live there. The point is to not stay there. Do not give pain, sadness, resentment, anger, fear, detachment, all those things. Do not give it a home. Give it the shelter it needs, nurture it, and let it go. Okay? It's like when people rescue wounded animals from the forest, right? They rehabilitate them, and then they let them go. You know, it's a beast, right? They give it a little home for a moment until it's better, and then they just leave the gate open and let it go when it's ready and knows it's ready to go. Don't hang on to it. When you hang on to things, it gets worse. Okay? Because you are literally letting it build that shelter of dread within inside of you. And that shelter of sadness. Mine was always dread. I don't know why. I have no explanation as to why I held on to it for so long. I think it was because it was such a familiar feeling for me. I didn't know how to be happy without having a feeling of blah anchored to it. And now I'm scared shitless because happiness is mine for the taking. I mean, you're probably thinking, oh, did something great happen? My personal growth happened. This choice being put before me happened. Self-approval happened. Self-validation happened. That was kind of an eye-opener for me because that's only about 4 days old. That's still really fresh. All this stuff is so fresh inside of me. And I just have to be willing to reach out and grab that brass ring and say, okay, let's do this. Let's be happy. I choose happy. I mean, I can't tell you how many places I have I choose happy written down. And for the first time in my life, it actually feels like a choice. And a legitimate choice. Not one that's anchored to anything. So I choose to leave behind the sea of misery. I choose to pull my anchor from it. However, I still leave a little mailbox in there for people who want to reach out, who want that help, who might need to talk to me, who may say, hey, Shell, I need an ear. Okay. Only my friends and people close to me call me Shell. I know. I had to just make that a point. But, but hey, if you feel comfortable, do it. But, when they say, hey, you know what? Shelly Marie, I could use some help. Because now I know that when I visit the Sea of Misery, I'm just taking a little dinghy in, a little raft, right? Little motorboat. Because my boat is literally just floating out here in the ocean of bliss. Because I am deciding, and I'm making this pledge to all of you, all right? So everybody watching this, whether it's now or later, you heard it from me first here. I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing joy. And I'm going to work hard every day to make sure that I give myself the self-validation that I need. I give myself the approval that I need. And to remember that when I do things, it's not for anybody else's approval or validation but my own. But if they do approve of it, they do validate it, they do like it, that's a bonus. And we all know what it feels like to get a bonus, right? Of some sort. Or even like if you get an allowance every week and your parents give you extra money, right? We all know what that felt like. Like, what? It was like a bonus. It felt good. And that's what I want for myself now. That's what I want for all of you out there. To find the strength to approve of yourself. To find the strength to validate yourself. If you're watching this, there's a reason you're watching this. And if you are watching this, I want you to know that I see you. I have been there. I have done that. And as scary as it can feel or sound, you do not need dread or sadness or pain to anchor your happiness anymore. You are worthy of living a beautiful life. You are worthy of living a wonderful, loving, harmonious life. And like I said, sure, those other emotions might come up, but if you learn how to not give it a permanent home, if you learn to just entertain it for a bit and then send it on its way, it will get easier to do over time. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the 7 rules of life. That'll be a fun one. I have a lot to break down on that one. In fact, one of those 7 rules of life I actually used in December's Self-Love December. That's right. So I'm looking forward to that one tomorrow. Funny enough, I found it in the back of a notebook I've been using for a while, and I was like, what's this paper sticking out? And I pulled it out. It's like, oh, hey, there's Tuesday's topic. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Choose happiness. Choose yourself. I'm going to post that meme in the comments. Okay. So if you're on YouTube and it's not there, I might type it out because I don't think I can post like regular things into the comments. But it is on Facebook. Facebook Live is public. So if you want to catch tomorrow's episode, come back tomorrow for Tuesday Thoughts, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Facebook Live is public. Anybody can watch. Otherwise, I do upload these right after to YouTube under the Aloha Perspective with Shirley Marie Lucas, where I also share it to Twitter. So if you're on Twitter or Facebook, I will post the memes on both sides, okay? So again, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to everybody tomorrow. And remember, you deserve to be happy. So choose happiness.